Okay, so welcome back again. If you've never seen any of my vacuum tutorials, what we're going to do today is I've got an old Dyson V6 that I made that I've used for about, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so at a building. So it's time to get these things cleaned up. These are a little bit older of vacuums, but they work just fine. And yeah, we're just gonna strip this thing down, and I'm gonna walk you through the entire process here of deep cleaning this vacuum. So I have another video that's one of my most popular videos on YouTube. That's a Dyson V6, but this is the Dyson V6 Absolute, and there are some small differences between the models. They're basically built the same. They just made a couple pieces different, such as the Hepa filter. But yeah, let's get started on this, and we'll get this thing completely ripped down, clean it up, and then completely put it back together. So this is just going to be a video on the main body here. It's not going to be on the head unit. You can actually find the head unit video. I think I've got some, if you check the links below on my vacuum playlist, I've got a video, I think, on how to clean that. So let's get started. Okay, so if you are maintaining your vacuum and you've never done it before, and you're wondering if it really needs, you know, filter replacements, I would say replace them. These Hepa filters, you can get these on Amazon. I think I bought a 2-pack for around 10 bucks. And then we have our normal filter that you can get like a 3-pack for, I don't know, 10 bucks. These other filters are good to have in hand if they get real clogged up, instead of cleaning them and waiting 24 hours. As for the Hepa filter, you don't really clean these like the new V10 or V11, V15 models. You just replace these old V6 models. So you can't just buy the inner filter, you have to buy the whole unit. I'll throw up a link below of the ones that I purchased, but we'll go ahead and set the main filter over here at the kitchen, and we will get that clean in a minute. So what we're gonna do now with the Hepa filter removed is we're just gonna make sure your canister is empty when we do this. We're just gonna remove our canister. If you have any dirt or anything in there, of course it's gonna fall out. We'll go ahead and move our canister aside. Then we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty here. This thing's really easy if you just follow the instructions step by step on how to clean this. Okay, so this is your this is your screen filter for your Cyclone here, and this piece here, you basically have to force off with your hand. You might have to pry on it a little bit with a screwdriver if you're not strong enough to get it off. So you're just gonna, especially if you're a female, you're really gonna have to torque on this. If you can't do it, go get your man or whatever. And this piece will just pull off real simply here. It just clicks in. Well, I got one tab that's stuck. Come on now. You might struggle with it a little bit. I have to get a screwdriver. And we're just going to remove our cover there. Now we're going to get to the Inner Cyclone here. And what we're going to do is you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe they're T8 head screws. And what we're going to do is, if you don't have, these are called Torx head screws, screwdrivers. If you don't have these, you'll need to get a set of these. These screws are basically used on almost every single vacuum that's produced, and you need to have the correct size of these. These aren't like Phillips head. These are specialty designed screw heads. So we're going to just remove these screws. And then set them aside. Go ahead and get a dish or something to put these in. so we don't lose this with the magnet. And if your vacuum isn't quite operating like it used to, or maybe it's starting to smell, or it just isn't running as well, it's basically what's happening is your cyclone that creates your velocity into the vacuum is getting extremely dirty on the inside of the vacuum. Happens a lot if you have animals and you have a lot of dog hair or any type of debris there. There's 3, then we got 2 on the back side here. And remember, these are T8 Torx. They're not T7, not T9s, they're T8s. And once we get this last one removed, we'll go ahead and pop this out. In the V6 series Dysons, you actually need a special tool, and I'm not sure what the price of them are now. I'm getting ready to, I'll show you the tool because you're gonna have to remove the actual motor cyclone piece from the body. So this is your conial, this is the, I don't know what you want to call this, this is the piece that is in the dust bin. On the original V6 model, this piece is larger on when they made the absolute model, which was their higher end, more money vacuum. They made this piece smaller. By making this piece a little bit smaller, you were able to get more dirt in the cup. So we're going to set that in the kitchen as well. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove this inner piece here, and it's just in there with a rubber type seal here. And this vacuum isn't too bad. This vacuum was mainly, I had a building that had been completely remodeled, so I was cleaning up a lot of construction debris, the one thing they tell you not to clean up, and drywall dust and all that. So what you have now is we need to disconnect the cyclone from the body. And I have the tool. Okay, this is the plastic made tool. I don't know how much this is. I'll throw up a link if I have an Amazon link below. But this tool is worth every penny, especially if you're going to disassemble your vacuum, because you need this tool. There is a clip inside of this vacuum that this tool goes into like so, and you need to be able to expand the clip. Otherwise you have to use needle nose pliers, and I'll put the link below to the playlist of my other video where it shows you how to do this with a pair of needle nose pliers. But having this tool, dude, is worth every penny. And what you do is you just line it up with the base here and push it in, and then we're basically going to pull this cyclone off, and we're going to be putting force on this tool, which expands. There's be a white clip in there shaped like this, so when the tool goes into this hole, it's expanding this and allowing the cyclone to be removed. So you'll feel it when you push it in, of expanding the tool, and then you'll pull. You can start to see that the body's starting to come off there, and you will pull the cyclone off. If you're lucky. Ready? There we go. So as you can see, this is your white clip, and this, got a little debris in there, this is your tool here. and watch what it does. Actually, it compresses the spring, the white plastic, just a little bit, enough to get a seal on there. And this one really isn't that bad. Then to disassemble it, we just have, I believe it's two here, two T8 screws, and these should be smaller than the other ones. They are. And then this is going to disassemble the Cyclone. At least I think it is. Okay, so now with the Cyclone apart, I'm not real sure how many of these on the inside of the housing of the Cyclone. There's going to be screws as well. It's going to be kind of hard. So on the inside here, we're going to have screws. I think there's 4 of them. We're starting to get quite a bit of a dust, dirty mess here. So there's one. And these screws are really covered in dirt. There's 2. This will be 3. It's gonna be 4. And then this will be 4. Then what we're gonna do, once this one's loose, because I left the screws in there, we're gonna just pull the bottom part off because the screws are still in there, and the screws just fell into my hand. Well, 3 of the 4 did. So there's gonna be 4 screws. We will set them aside as well. Okay, now with the Cyclone apart, there's a rubber gasket in here. Yours will probably be red because this red model of vacuum isn't very popular. My favorite color is red, and this is the boat model, and I was able to find some parts for the boat model so I could make a red vacuum. But what we'll do is the inner piece here will disconnect as well. Actually, we'll go ahead. This gasket that's bluish purple will, on your vacuum, more than likely be red. So we're just going to loosen it up off of the Cyclone pieces. Actually, we're going to pull this apart and then pull this gasket apart. And then we're going to take everything here to the sink and I'm going to clean it up. I'm not going to be on camera here. Okay, so what we want to do now is we just want to get everything cleaned up. We're going to go ahead and now you have to be careful because you do have electrical in your dust cup here, and I'm going to go ahead and wash this thing out with water. And then I'm going to come back, as usual, if you've seen any of my other videos, I'm going to use foaming glass cleaner to clean this thing out. And we're just going to hit everything with foaming glass cleaner and let it set. And put it on the other side of the sink. Same thing with all these parts. We're just gonna wash a lot of the debris off here. All this dirt and dust debris. And then you may have a little bit left over. And then once we hit it with a foaming action cleaner, we'll come back and just let the glass cleaner do its job. And then set these parts aside and come back and we'll wash it off, and these things will be pretty much all cleaned up. So these Cyclone pieces, these are the pieces that will cause your vacuum to lose suction is if these internal pieces start to get clogged up with dirt and dust. This is how sharp, now this piece actually comes off. That's how Dyson makes all their velocity for their vacuums, and it works really well. We'll just go ahead and spray this one down as well. I'm actually not going to be doing a whole lot of scrubbing on this. This is probably going to be one of your dirtiest internal parts here. Then once we get to our gasket piece, we'll want to be really careful with it. So now that we have all this plastic stuff sprayed down, we're just going to let it set for maybe 5 minutes and just let everything soak. Do not rip this gasket. I don't believe you could buy this gasket from Dyson. You have to buy the entire Cyclone unit itself. So we're just going to wrench this and just get the dirt off of it and let it dry. Oh, and we're going to clean our main filter, but you probably already know how to clean this. Just going to soak this and kind of squeeze this and get as much of the dirt as possible out of this filter. And you cannot reinstall this for up to 24 hours. I've got an extra one here which will allow me to put this vacuum back together after we get it clean. So take this filter, just set it aside, or go through my Amazon links below and buy a 3-pack so you don't have to wait to use your vacuum. Now on your V6 body, this one isn't too bad. I'm just going to take a damp cloth and wipe the body and wipe the internal of this. You want to actually kind of avoid the contacts here for the, that gives the power to the wand if you can. This one has seen a little bit of moisture, but it's not bad. Same thing on the back end here. We're just going to take a moist towel and clean this all out. I'm not going to remove the back cover to this vacuum to clean all that. You can get in here with Q-tips if you want. That's a good thing to use, but other than that, this one's pretty clean. So just remember that, it just depends on how clean you want to clean it if you got this apart. Okay, now that all the pieces are soaked, we're just going to bring them back and we're just going to spray them off one by one here in the sink, and then we're going to hang them up and let them dry. Do not assemble this vacuum wet. These pieces need to be completely dry before you reassemble these vacuums. And it's going to take some time, so if you need to pause this video and go back, that's what I would recommend. Especially when they're going to the disassembly or reassembly parts. If you don't make it all the way through and get confused, just come back and rewatch the video. It helps with all the parts also if you actually try to get as much water off of them as possible to get them to dry a little bit quicker. Also, if your friends have vacuum cleaners that are the handheld vacuum, Shark or Dyson, again, check the playlist below in the description. And I more than likely have disassembled and cleaned pretty much almost all the vacuums on the market except for a lot of the newer stuff. So on this bin here, we're going to go ahead and clean this bin. Sometimes the internal door is really bad, and this one isn't. The door will swing open here, and you can see that's got a little bit of debris on it. A lot of times you can get a brush in there and get that cleaned up. But I have another vacuum. I have another vacuum here that I'm actually gonna blow dry. The connections here on to get all this water out as quick as possible. This is just a little trick I do because I can't wait 24 hours to reassemble this for this video. So I'm going to get all these pieces dry and then reassemble it real quick. But if you're doing this at home, you definitely need to wait 24 hours. Okay, so now that for the most part everything is dry, we'll go ahead and put it back together. The one thing is wait 24 hours before you assemble this together. And if you did get this cup wet like I did, to get it wet, you need to make sure that all the water is out of the inside of the housing here, and that you do not put power to this before it's dry. So just hang it upside down, or hang it just like this for 24 hours or for 12 hours, and then turn it up another 12 hours to make sure any of the water that got in there will run out. But yeah, let's put this thing back together. We're going to restart here. First things first, I think we're going to install this piece first. I'm going to try to do this off my memory here. And there's really only one way for this thing to go in flushly. And then put the gasket back on first. And on the gasket here, you'll have a flat side that you'll notice is really flat with no marks on it, and then the other side will have the marks. The other side having the indentation marks will show where the top piece has set, which will give you an indication on what side is what. So just be extremely careful with this. I think this is just made out of like a rubber felt type material. I'm not real sure about the material, but it's pretty stretchy, but you will damage it if you pull on it too hard. So now we have this almost together, and remember we do have a few screws here. Okay, so I screwed that up. What we'll want to do is install this piece first, and this is only going to go in one way. So we'll have to turn it here. And actually this piece should go on before the gasket. So what we'll want to do is take our gasket back off. It's okay to make mistakes. This is the best thing about YouTube is, you know, everybody doesn't make a perfect video every time. So we're going to actually reinstall our black piece here before we put our gasket on. And then we're going to reinstall our gasket around this piece, because the lip of this gasket should go over that black piece that I just installed. And that's going to create the seal on the inside of the vacuum. So I'm a big fan of showing the mistakes. And what you see how the gasket overlaps that black piece? So you can't pull this black piece out without moving that gasket. That gasket's designed to go on second. So we will go ahead and we'll try to reassemble this here. Like so. And then put our top cover on. And you can feel it compress onto the seal, onto the piece. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to install the two smaller screws now that went into the back of the head. And this is just going to keep the head together because these are the easiest ones, and we're just going to get them snug. Don't over tighten these screws because these screws are just going into plastic. This is not metal and metal. If you over tighten these, I actually on my V10, I broke a screw off putting it together, and I just couldn't believe I did that. I over torqued it. And then what we have is we have our 4 screws that go into the body, and these are actually going to be pretty tricky to put in. What you probably want to do is put the screw on the bit and guide the screw down into the hole, because it's not just going to want to fall down into the hole. You're going to have to kind of guide the screw into the hole, get it in there, give it 1 or 2 twists, and then go to the next one here. There's 1. Here's 2. This will be 3. This will be 4. And then we're going to come back and retighten these. Okay, so now we're going to come back, now that we have our screws in, and we're going to snug them up tight. See that one? We just wanted to get them in there. There we go. So we've got all 4 of those screwed. We've got a real good seal here. Now we're going to install our last piece here. Now this is actually white rubber for a reason, because when you go to install this, you're going to want to push it down. After you push it down into the unit, this is going to create a seal, and you actually don't want to see white on the inside of here, so you know that you've got it in straight. If this isn't straight, if that piece is not in here straight, you will see the white on the inside of the cylinder here. It's important because we've just got pieces of plastic here. So the way that this is made is this rubber, this molded rubber, is used to create the seal between the 2 plastics. So we do not want to see white. We do not want to see the white on the inside of this cylinder. If we see the white, then we're going to get airflow that is going to be going around that white seal. We don't want to see the white because we need a really good seal on that. Okay, so now we're going to put our cone honeycomb piece on, and then we're going to reinstall our 5 screws. And the reason we're going in a star pattern is it's kind of the same as putting a car tire on, where we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's to get a tight seal against the piece here so it goes on straight. One more. Okay. Oops. Okay. Then we have our other shield here, and our lip is just, I believe, is going to go to the back. It's actually going to go to the front here where we have this lip, and we're just going to press this piece in just like we removed it. So the easiest way I found is to kind of go forward and then the sides with your thumbs, and then go to the back, and you'll hear it click in. And it's just plastic that is just, it just fits in there. So then we'll get the body. So now we have the body, and we're going to use our tool that we used because we need to compress that white I just wouldn't have designed that like that, but we need to compress that. And then the easiest way I've noticed is to go from the top and down on these. So we're just going to kind of put the top in, and it's got to go in. You might have some difficulty with this. And you've got to kind of work it with the tool to get it to click in, and it'll click eventually. It just takes time. I just did it without the tool, so I just pressed it in. Maybe I can't remember, I haven't done one of these in a while. I think you just need this to remove it, and then to install it you just press it in. So now that that's done, I've got a new Hepa filter. Again, if you have one of these, link in the description below. These vacuums are fairly old. Just get some new filters, 10 bucks. Clean your vacuum, save yourself $500. And again, I've got another new filter. We'll go ahead and install that. Same thing with those filters. I buy them by the 3-pack. They work with the V7 and the V8 models. And then we'll go ahead and reinstall our cup. And then our battery. This is a real neat piece that I've got. It was 3D printed from a seller on eBay. And it allows me, on these V6s, the batteries are not as big as the other batteries. So this little 3D printed piece allows me to swap out batteries, which is really neat. Well, it works. And then we'll just turn it on. Another thing, I got like these little switches so I don't have to hold the trigger down. And it works. I knew it would. I'm just gonna let it run for a little bit, because if there's any moisture in there, because I didn't wait 24 hours, it'll suck it all out into the filters. Okay, and as always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. Any purchases from the links below really help me out, which will help me help me keep making videos, especially these vacuum videos. Believe it or not, these vacuum videos actually generate more of my YouTube income than anything that I do. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and check out the playlist below. I'm out of here.